All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm Patrick Kirby. I'm your host. And of course, this is a show where we kind of talk to super awesome individuals, super smarter people than I, and try to relay that message to the small and medium-sized nonprofits to help them grow. Sometimes, though, I will get a guest that of my choosing that I just really want, and I've been waiting for like 2 whole seasons to get my friend Eric Roeder here. He's a super nerd at Codilation,
Yes.
which is, well, he'll tell you about whatever the company is. But I've been blessed to be on a guest on his show a number of times, and I've now waited for the perfect time. And we're going to talk about using tech tools for the nonprofit world. Eric, welcome to our humble abode in the podcast studio here.
I'm glad that you waited for a while so you could like get all the bad ones out. No, that's terrible. That's conceited. No,
get your crappy interviews.
Yeah, get all the rust out of here. Now we have like a studio. This Mario, like I princess, like I won't talk to you until it's with a Mario background.
Correct.
So we're here.
Eric has a show and a podcast that he does, and his background is the thing that I am most jealous about because it's a shelf full of like the nerdiest things of all time. I am not there yet. I'm getting close. I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
But my podcast studio is not nearly as fantastic. But as a guest and as a conversation, we have some of the weirdest conversations that have zero things. We never have a script. We rarely have a game plan for this. When you sent me a note earlier today, like, hey, just an FYI, what are we talking about? I said, you know better than this. I just shook my head. I said, you know this that I'm not going to talk about. But tech tools is kind of what we had decided on because we like talking about tech in the nonprofit world. We don't know what to use. We don't know what to kind of focus on. There's 1.5 billion things that we could be doing, but the practicality's up. That aside, before we get kicked into this, somebody's scrolling through Apple. Somebody's scrolling through the old Facebook.
Yeah.
They YouTube, and they see your face.
Yes.
And they want to know, what is that? And who is this? And I need to know more. 5,000-foot view, Eric Roeder, who you are, what you do, and how did you get to this delightful space on season 3 of the official Do Good Better podcast?
So 5,000 feet. I work for a software development company, and we talk about tech tools, and like we build. Someone says there's not a tool for blank. This could save us time. This could save us money. I want to help turn an idea into like an actual customer or something that you can save your company money with. And those are like the home run customers for that. And on top of that, I love our community and I love the people doing good things in it. And I like to associate myself with that. And that's why we immediately clicked.
Yeah, it's true. I would describe you, if somebody said, give me an explanation of what Codilation and Eric does, I would say you're a tech fairy godfather that comes down and says, oh, you wanted this, bibbity bobbity, and then it becomes a reality, which is very strange because my brain doesn't understand any of that or how that works too. And then I was surprised to realize that maybe you don't as well, but you just work with a bunch of super nerds that figure that out.
I don't know anything.
Yeah,
I took a coding class in college actually. And I said, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
But I work so this is like the most fun story that I get to. I'm the like translator extrovert for these guys that don't want to do it. One of our products that helps connect teachers to students and build that connection. It was featured on 1 Million Cups, and my little nerd Suman, who wrote all the code for it, is like, Eric, I want to go to 1 Million Cups. I'm like, okay, Suman, you're going to have to meet 40 people because I know people, and it's an event. Yeah. And this is like pre-COVID, so you could go to things.
Yes.
And so and I say, we're going to meet at work, and then I'll drive you there because I know you don't want to go alone because you don't like that. You're just a super introvert, but I couldn't do your work. And we go there. They talk about, Enlight, which just won like a tech starter, like they're getting grants. It's a big deal. And it's a great thing. But I was the guinea pig because I'm always just the normal human being. Like, Eric, does this make sense? I'm like, and I break it.
Mhm.
And they're like, okay, back to the drawing board kind of a thing. And so they present on that, and I introduce Suman to 40 people that day. We get back to the office, and he's like, that is enough people for me this month. And again, I'm like, this is why I come in at 11 every day, is because I go meet all of these people, and I tell the story of you and how our team wants to change business and the world for the better, and we can build it. We just, I just work for blacksmiths, or like new age blacksmiths that just sit in the corner and pound out code, and they love doing that. And again, being a part of positive change and innovation is what I get to tell that story, and I get to find people looking for it. It's fun.
And that's why it makes this this topic where you have inside baseball on tech stuff.
Yes.
You don't speak tech speak.
I translate it.
They translate it. And so when a nonprofit has questions about like what kind of technology or what sort of tools do we have to use, I don't have time to learn all the coding or the back. I don't have time for all of these things.
No.
What's there available now that we should be knowing and should be learning or should be using? And please don't speak in a language that I don't understand. Let's get it done. Because if they come and bring it to a board, their board's not going to understand. They're going to have to bring, it's just complicated.
It is messy to ask for an expensive software to a board.
Correct.
So I have some that you let me bullet point a couple of things.
I allowed this.
You allowed me to think about this before we started talking.
Correct.
And which
is a rule that I rarely break when we have conversations, but I allowed it for this point. But yes, so let me set you up for this. So a nonprofit is looking at 2021. They're looking to make a massive impact, but they are also looking to kind of free up their time and confusion on what to use and how to make that impact, right? So there's certain things that we're using on a regular basis that surprisingly a lot of nonprofits don't use. And so we need to do a little better job of explaining what they need to do and how they can use it. So let's talk tools.
Yep.
Let's start with the first one that comes to your mind on what nonprofits should be using currently in tools.
If you are not using this now, and this is going to set you back, and this is where, and it's Zoom. And basically what that is, it's a Jetsons phone where you see people's face and you can connect with anyone. And I think most of the world is on Zoom now, but if you're not, it's not expensive, and you have to stay connected with people when you can't connect with people.
It's Grandma and Grandpa are using Zoom. Right, to see their grandkids.
Right.
If you're a nonprofit organization, you're not using this as a platform. I mean, you're missing out on a lot of it.
And there's Microsoft Teams, and there's all sorts of different. Some sort of video conferencing is absolutely essential, and they're not crazy. It's not going to be something that you have to fight the board to get.
I don't think so. Now, if the board is going to fight you on things that like $150, which is the cost of like a yearly subscription to Zoom, right? What about the free one? They've got free these things. That's great. You get a free Zoom thing. You said something interesting that I never thought about that I will set you up for the explanation, which is why isn't the free stuff always the best?
It's try before you buy.
Yes.
And I would not want to be in a meeting with a potential customer as a salesperson, or as looking with a potential donor as a nonprofit, and hit 45 minutes and then say, your trial says you can only go to 45 minutes. What it costs in a yearly subscription, you probably lost in that time shut off right there.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know, because again, we talk about the parallels of small business sales and nonprofit fundraising. It's basically the exact same thing.
Correct.
And if you can't talk to someone for more than 45 minutes, I don't know if they're a great fit. And the home run fits are the ones where you have to, I have to go be a dad today. I am sorry. It's been 3 hours.
Yeah. I think there's where when nonprofits talk about how it's really difficult to make a connection. And it really is. The face-to-face thing is just great. And if you play it safe and you're under quarantine for however many weeks you quarantine
We
for.
had to change scheduling because I was in quarantine.
We're quarantined because that's how safe we wanted to make sure that this was. But they seem to be resistant to making asks and building rapport in a deeper sense on a video call.
Right.
It's becoming the norm, isn't it, though? So, like, this is something that we talk about. It's fine, right?
It's not scary. It's not as scary anymore. Everyone's kids are on it. I FaceTime with my grandma. She called me before Christmas and she's like, Eric, I don't like your beard. Shave it. I'm like, oh, my grandma's FaceTiming me to tell me I'm ugly. That's delightful, Gammy.
Man, that's terrible. No, it's brilliant. And I think, again, it's $150. You get it for the rest, for a year. And that's one donation of one person giving you $150. That's it. That's all it is. And so if you can think about it that way, I think it's really important. The other thing that you mentioned was scheduling meetings.
Yes.
This is a hilarious thing that we have talked about.
Yes.
I will let you. So if you're having issues scheduling meetings, because this is really, you're trying to get your calendar to work for you. You're not trying to make it work against you. And there's a number of different things. What would you suggest that a nonprofit should be using, at least from a tech standpoint, as far as scheduling meetings?
There's something within Microsoft. My nerds don't like Microsoft, so we don't use it. But I use Calendly and you use Calendly.
Yes.
And just, again, these are 5,000-foot views of what these things do. And there are a bunch of different options for different platforms and different things. Because you have to kind of play with the hands that you're dealt with. So if your team is Microsoft, I would suggest finding the Microsoft Calendar Helper thing. But basically what it is you say, Patrick, I want to have coffee with you. And you say, yes, I do. When do you want to meet? I don't know. When do you want to meet? When do you want to meet? I'm free Tuesday. Well, I'm not free Tuesday. I tracked my time. And that took me I would block time out to set up appointments as a salesperson or as a, donor. And that took me 2 hours on Mondays of just hammering out schedule.
Yeah.
And that's to hammer out 10 to 15 meetings. It wasn't anything crazy. And Calendly is the app. And I think it's that's another $10 to $20 a month, not very expensive. And you say, Patrick, it was great to meet you at blank. I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. Could we get a coffee sometime? You say, yeah, that'd be great. And then the next thing is you send a link and it links up with the calendar that you use. And then I pick a time and then it puts it in my calendar going forward. And it saves 2 hours. That fighting of when you have availability to be able to say, this is my calendar, pick when works for you, because everything that's available and it will work for me.
Yeah.
That, in the nonprofit world, you just don't have time.
Yeah.
You need to set donor meetings.
Mm-hmm.
If that saves you 2 hours a week to put on the other hat that you really had no idea that you were.
It's true.
That's going to change hopefully your whole week. And again, it sets it up for as a salesperson. I got to set a coffee meeting every day.
Mm-hmm.
That was my MO was every day you have to have a coffee meeting either with someone new or even reconnecting with someone. Mm-hmm. And to be able to say, okay, I miss Patrick and 3 other people. When you want to have a coffee, pick a link.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes and you get your 10 hours of scheduled meeting.
Yeah. And the other thing you do is you can schedule it with buffers. So if you need 15 minutes to get between things, you can schedule it. And then you've got, okay, well, it's a 45-minute meeting. I'm not going to have anything scheduled 15 minutes in advance or 15 minutes afterwards, so that you at least have some time and some wiggle room. The other thing too, is it doesn't double book you. So if you're blocked out on your calendar, it doesn't give you an option. So if you wanted to leave your entire Tuesdays open, let's just say you wanted to be working on meetings, because Tuesdays are for doing, we all know this. Yeah. You wanted to block out Tuesday, that becomes your meeting day. And you can have 45-minute meeting. Yeah.
If you wanted to go into your calendar and say Mondays are for planning, 8 to noon, I don't that's my book.
That's
and
your
then
book.
no one can get into that time, and it helps you, shore up your schedule.
It time boxes. Again, the small business, the entrepreneur kind of thing, and the nonprofit, they run so well together because you can get overwhelmed with doing the things that you just get like sucked into for no apparent reason because they're on your to-do list, or you go down a rabbit hole on YouTube and you find you're like, well, I didn't know, that I needed to look at this cover crossover between, the Spice Girls and Slipknot, which I found, and I'm going to send it to you because it's amazing. I might post that on the old in the show notes because I think everybody needs to listen to it. I tell you what you want.
I really want to take a break, but
I
know we can't.
No, we're not going to take a break. But after this podcast recording, I'm going to show it to you because it's amazing, and I will give you that as well as a guest. One of the things that nonprofits do constantly is how do you reconnect, or how do you connect with your donors who have casual questions and conversations, and then how do you have if somebody interacts with you, what's the next step, right? So you're looking at that donor journey. One of the things that is an option is automated email responses, right? So either from a chat bot or from like if it's on your website, or somebody has an inquiry into like a questionnaire, like I'm interested in your products and services, there's an automated email. Talk to me a little bit about that is this personal enough? Is it a first step in a longer process? Is it a stopgap because you can't answer everything? Where should the automated email response be in a nonprofit tech thing? And by thing, I mean just like the lifeblood of or lifetime of a donor's interactions.
And again, we take this back to a sales career.
Yes.
And one thing that I didn't have, a CRM system, which is basically if you're old school, when I was old school for life, this is my Excel spreadsheet.
Correct.
That has people that I talk to.
Yes.
It takes that spreadsheet and it puts it into a little more robust thing. Like I haven't talked to Patrick in 6 months, and then it sets out like he's a potential $5,000 donor. That's a mistake.
Yeah.
And you put those deals and you have to have figure out your own flow, and then either set up an automated email campaign with that. Every marketing budget and every size is completely different. I think you just start with a basic email subscription newsletter.
And I think even like a MailChimp, which is just like a free service, you don't have like 10,000 people on an email list. Right. It's really relatively free, and it's got a lot of bells and whistles. Of course, if you wanted a CRM system, you should probably look at DonorDoc. DonorDoc.com is a great sponsor of the official Do Good Better podcast.
Do they integrate with different?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, you can go and Google the past official Do Good Better podcast with our friend Matt Bitzguy, who is the founder and owner of DonorDoc. DonorDoc.com.
Yeah, no, I think that, but that's important to make it work with everything that you have.
Right.
And our email system is Active Campaign, and I have a coffee with a new person, and then they're in our list. And if I needed to, you could send out an automated email even from that and say, okay, here's the new people that I met this week. Or at some networking thing, or I've got 10 people that I want to connect with. Yeah. Automated email, set up the draft that says, hey, we met at a thing. Here's my calendar link. We should know people more. But you can pay all sorts for automation, and I think it's so important to make a podcast and put it in your newsletter, and to keep it all. You just have to keep screaming that you're a place to your potential customers or donors. And Google's it's kind of the enemy of small, of nonprofits and even small businesses. Because if I typed in software developers in Fargo, I think I did this once, and like Apple came up because they paid to be at the top of that. That's okay, but they don't need those.
No.
They don't, and you have to be top of mind aware before people go to Google, because someone who's bigger and has a bigger budget than you is going to beat you to that spot. And unless, you're Bezos.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
He won't have any money anymore.
Right,
He's stepping down. The other thing too, and I think automating emails doesn't mean it has to sound like an automated email too, and that's the personality. And that when I think nonprofits get into these tech things, it's going to sound wonky, or it's going to sound like overly like a computer robot has said, welcome to the process in which we will go and build relationships and you will give us money. That never happens. So
Right.
you can use like in our system, like I've got an auto response that maybe has 38 exclamation points in it. And
that's how you talk.
It's exactly how I talk. So you can customize it to make it feel, even though they know it's probably a response, an auto response.
Everyone knows when they're talking to
They'll
a bot, but it doesn't mean that as a donor, I wouldn't mind hearing from one of my people that says, hey, remember, we have a thing coming up.
Right.
You've gone to the thing. Would you please go to the thing again?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, yes, you're right. I should get your numbers up because planning events is disgusting.
Yes.
And if I lock myself in, I will make your day less stressed because I feel bad for event people. I have a special place in my head. I'm like, oh, you have to organize a gala in the Facebook maybe culture.
Yeah.
That is the world right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested in that. Like, hey, can't handle that.
That's a great transition to a question that I wanted to ask, which is which is software that automatically posts social media posts. So like there's a million of them that you can do.
There's co-schedule. There's a bunch.
Now, there's an issue. Now, from a convenience standpoint, it's great.
Yeah.
From an algorithm standpoint, it sucks.
I hate it.
Because Facebook knows that you are not in Facebook posting in Facebook. Therefore, it will kill your viewers.
Yeah.
And it will kill your thing. Listen, it will save you time. Yes. But you're not in the Facebook system programming all of those things. You're in a third-party system that's kind of automating your posts. And then you will see, like, why did only one person like this? And it was my mom or me. It's because you didn't do it and they know about it. Like, that's the creepy part, is like Mark Zuckerberg knows when you were posting your own stuff on Facebook.
I think we have to just take this and say it evolves every second.
Yes.
The Google algorithm, you used to be SEO people and you could say, hey, this changed once a year. If you do this and this and this and this, you can cheat the thing into thinking you're better than everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now it changes. We don't know how often it changes, but it's times a day and it's machine learning and it's terrifying.
So talk about this again, because that's where SEO gets really crazy. So
that's where Facebook gets a little crazy too, because it's the same thing.
Constantly learning. So you cannot. So trusting your what I knew about posting yesterday is completely different.
Nothing.
It means nothing today, which means authenticity, in the moment posting, and using right. content and not stealing somebody else's stuff. Or using somebody else's stuff is absolutely critical. So it's the one thing that's automation can't help you gain traction unless you pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you can counteract the social media algorithm, is that if you pay money in order to be seen. Otherwise, your authenticity, your creativity, and your in the moment stuff is going to be precedence over everything.
It's, again, you talked about scheduling something, and I stopped doing that because it might make sense if you had a business. You're like, I make pants. Pants are going on sale. This will direct us to our pants website.
Correct.
Throw it up on everything, and it'll be great.
Right.
But it's just different when I'm trying to, and my mom will like when you tag me that I talk to you.
Yes.
Because that's my weird cross-pollination of spheres in like social media circles.
Yes.
And that's an important part. And so I stopped using automated.
Yeah, it's a smart move. And again, because nonprofits and small businesses are the same thing. So that's kind of great advice, because it's the same deal.
No, I went to coffee with Patrick. He's a very helpful person if you're in fundraising market and you're a nonprofit.
Yep.
Coming from me,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said, thanks, Eric. You're a neat person. You
Yep.
build tools for people who want to take ID. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's gold.
Yeah, that's totally gold.
That's more important than scheduled posts.
We talk a lot about that third-party endorsement is exponentially more important than first-party solicitation. It's the same way that if somebody's talking nice about you or your organization and you are then engaged with them, so you can't just let it sit. So this is the tech thing that if you're going to use a post saying something nice about somebody, or somebody says something nice about your organization, your response to that post is critical for it to do anything. Otherwise, it will die a horrible, lonely death with no likes. And it's not like those likes are immediately attributed to money or interest in your organization. But the more you engage, the more people have eyeballs on it, the more that they will hear you. And that rule of thumb in the marketing world, you got to have 7 touch points before somebody makes a sale or makes some sort of connection to it, is real. And so that's where your advantage is, and the auto posting just doesn't work.
Again, it kind of does, but it kind of
in a weird, I know. Yeah.
I think there's better options, but, and again, we talked about how marketing has evolved in our lifetime exponentially. It's insane right now. If you want to go say, I want to talk to specific CEOs, and you can pay for that, for a CEO to see that. Maybe that's worth that campaign for you.
Yes.
It's all kind of based on your marketing, your strategy, and your process, which is an important part of a salesperson or a donor or a nonprofit fundraiser.
All of the things. My final one that I kind of wanted to walk through too is text messaging.
Yep.
Group texts, even individual texts. I mean, there's 2 different things that we talk about, but these are all built into your phones anyway. You should be using some of them. Walk me through what you have seen as far as the techie nerdy sides on benefits, not so much benefits on the text messaging. SMS for the super people that want to really get nerdy about it.
Again, it's the same thing as your mass email, or it's very similar. And I say, hey, I'm Patrick. I'm hosting a Do Good Better conference. Eric, you're in my contact list.
Correct.
I sent you an email about it. You didn't sign up. I sent you another email about it. For real, sign up. Here's a text. Sign up. Oh, fine, Patrick.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the 7.
Yep.
It's a huge part of the 7, and how you engage with people, and people are okay with text messages now.
Yeah.
You know, Giving Hearts Day is coming up, and I'm more than certain that I will get a few texts that say, hey, Eric, you know how you donate to us? You can do it again. It's a day to do it. And I will be like, you got me, Anna at CCRI, or you know, it's another way to, we're so connected and so disconnected at the same time.
I think the advantage too, from a nonprofit standpoint, text messaging and collecting this data for virtual events, right, or events in general, right? Hey, remember tonight is the party we're having. Here's the link to sign up. Here's the link to get your stuff. Reminder what time it is. When an auction ends, or when a nonprofit event ends, you keep your donation portal open, and that's when you send a text message. Hey, if you missed the event tonight, there's still a chance that you can donate. That's a really easy way to remind people, because most people's phones are set up with a Venmo or a PayPal account that are connected, which if you are a savvy nonprofit, you're able to take money in those different channels, or Stripe or whatever that mechanism that you have decided to take money on. It's usually given an option to, would you like to pay from your checking account, your credit card, or a PayPal or a Venmo account?
Right, and then you get it immediately.
You don't have to worry about it. The transaction fees are really, really minimal when it comes to those things.
Right.
And I think that's really an advantage when you come to a text message stuff as well.
Well, and again, I really like that follow-up, because I was helping out at an event one time for Make-A-Wish, and I was the tech guy there, and I didn't know any of it. So I went around and I just bid on 5 things just so I could teach people how to bid on stuff. And I was like, I'm in $1,500 right now. I need everyone to like, and I mean, it was like, I bid on like grocery cards
Sure.
and like me, but like, there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the best text messages I got all night was like, you've won one of the things of the 10 things you bid on.
Yes. Yes.
But you might have, I lost out, and maybe I wanted a signed something from some goofy thing. I didn't get what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I had pre-budgeted $300 to get that, and I didn't get it. And hooray, someone spent $500. That capped my whatever limit.
Yeah.
I'd still like to give. Thanks, guys. This was a good event.
Yeah.
I didn't get the jersey, but I'll
Jerks.
get it. I know someday.
It's interesting that when we were talking about tech stuff and we didn't really plan any of this, every one of these pieces has to do with communication.
Yeah.
Which ironically, in a tech-heavy world, communication is actually the most important thing that you can do. And each one of these things empowers you to connect a little deeper to a donor, a little deeper to a potential sponsor or a supporter, which is Zoom. It's a face-to-face when you can't do a face-to-face.
Right.
It's being able to record
face-to-face with anyone, anywhere.
Everywhere. And your whole world opens up, right? You can't have coffee with somebody in Dubai, but you sure can.
You can now.
You can now. There's no excuse, right?
You can now, and there might be snowbirds, or there might be, you don't have to wait anymore. You can say, hey, and again, more people are, it's really not hard, even if you don't know anything, to get a text that said, this is my Zoom meeting. Let's be on a Zoom.
And I think if you're thinking about a Zoom call, it's not the Brady Bunch squares of death that you're looking at in a meeting every other day or whatever. This is a one-on-one. One-on-ones are okay. Because you can.
One-on-nines are the most
worst.
bane of my existence.
No.
But one-on-ones are great.
They're not bad. Some of the calendar stuff, right?
Yep.
So we can't have your Rolodex would probably be interested in meeting with you if you gave them the options that's convenient for them.
Yes.
And you gave them a list of things rather than bouncing back and forth, which is the single-handedly most annoying thing and most time-consuming thing that we no longer have to deal with because you get in there. The donor database system or some sort of CRM system, donor doc, you should probably get some of those things because that will allow you to remind yourself to go and meet with people or follow up.
Yes.
And our superpower that we just don't have, but we think we all have, which is I'll remember everything, and then we put that data in there. You remember nothing. Automated email, great. You can make it personal. Listen, those automated social posts are not going to really do. When is it appropriate to take somebody up, maybe perhaps a correlation of sorts, on taking somebody up to customize something like an app or custom something like a program? You've gone through all of these steps. You're growing exponentially. When is there value in approaching about spending the money and time and thought process about customizing something for your organization? Because it's an investment.
Yes.
But when does that investment make sense more often than not?
From a nonprofit standpoint, I don't know if you've looked at the news this year, but there have been a lot of interesting stimulus packages that have come through. And so, and I know you preach, look for grant stuff, but that's a huge opportunity. And I would just, look at your process and look at your day-to-day and like, what is the thing that is awful that if you could build a tool for, would free up some of your time doing something that you hate. Yeah. And again, Callie was as simple as, I don't know, what do you want to do? Right. What do you want to mean? Yes. Think of what you can do and then just go have a conversation about that. And it's, again, we work a lot with the Innovate North Dakota grant, where if you have this idea to change how you're doing something for the better, and you can get up to like $40,000. Yeah. It's not tough to say, and we're looking for a $10,000 match to build this thing that does this. Yeah. And it's going to change. It's going to change the things for people you care about because you donate.
The other thing too is I think, and this is one of the really cool ways that somebody like you in Correlation can help, is that it would create something that differentiates you from every other nonprofit, right? It's a unique and it's a customized thing.
Can I use like real world examples?
Please. Okay. because I think there's so many nonprofits, and I think the challenge in the marketing world or in a sales world is how do you, like you said, Google is playing a game against you from people like Apple who are posting things that have nothing to do with what they're Googling for, but they've bought the space. So it's hard for you to get your name out. So yes, some real life examples would be great because I want to know about these things.
So the Emerging Digital Academy, which you had Leon recently, they do a real world nonprofit code. They build an app for people to learn. The first cohort got done and they worked with the emergency food pantry in town, and they wanted to do contactless pickup for the people that they serve because they're higher risk and there's just it's 2020. So they got 3/4 of the way done with that, and they didn't quite get it to the finish line. And then they graduated, and I met with Stacy there, and she's like, "Oh, this thing is close to done. I don't know what we can do." And I said, "Well, let's just look. Let's get under the hood. Let's talk to the person who coded it." And they got a couple grants, and they were able to pay to finish it. And this was really important because we live in Fargo, North Dakota, and it's -20 right now. To be able to not leave your car and to be able to say, "I'm here, can I get my food?" And for them just to walk out bundled up, not talk to someone, put it in the trunk and call it good, and have that talk with their database and have their, like, that's
stellar.
That's changing their whole process for the better and doing it safely and doing it in the new world that is today. And at the same time, like, keeps their staff safe. It keeps everyone safer. And they did that for like $5,000 to $10,000.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Which is something that you could totally go fundraise for, or,
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think there's donors who'd be interested in that. I mean, that's what you're always looking for, is like, how do you convince a donor that this would be something to benefit for, right? What impact does it make? That's an impact story.
Yeah.
Keeping staff safe, keeping clients safe, doing it in an environment where you don't have to exit your car and you risk frostbite in 3.5 minutes because it's colder than
it's noticeably cold.
It's noticeably cold outside. And I think that's really what that is, the customized thing. And that makes it different than everything else, right? Yeah. So now you get to be the nonprofit with a customized app to make sure that you are doing things safely and properly.
Right. And the bigger picture thought is and I should reconnect with Stacy. I should send her a Calendly link.
Stacy, if you're listening to this,
and we need to reconnect because I just miss you as a person.
Fact.
Circling back, if they can get that to work, why don't you bring that to other food banks?
Right.
And have this self-sustaining thing for your program and doing good across the entire nation, because we took a baby idea and made it work, a working model in Fargo.
And now you become a thought leader within your nonprofit industry, right? In your little niche, whether it's food scarcity or it's homelessness or whatever that app or that technology is. Now you become the first person people call. You become the first person that people call. All of a sudden, that you are now renowned. That gets out. That becomes a front-facing promotion thing that you get to do. And all of a sudden, you become the smartest. It's like,
and you don't have to pay to be at the top of Google.
Yeah, because you beat the system.
The thought leader,
because you're doing that.
Thought leaders in nonprofit technology. You Google that, Apple can put their ad, but people see that it's an ad, and then the first real human being, if that's you, you have to earn it. But that's how it rolls.
We're coming up to the end of our podcast.
Oh no!
And the timeline in which we are recording this is just recently after the Super Bowl, in which Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In a blowout fashion that was really just, it was boring.
It was a boring game.
When he won his first Super Bowl, do you know what year it was? give you a hint.
01?
02.
Okay.
So 2002 is when Tom Brady won his Super Bowl. Well, I guess they started in 2001. They just ended up playing the Super Bowl in 2002. I will give you credit for this.
Okay.
So I am going to list off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies that advertised during the 2002 Super Bowl that have to do with technology.
Okay.
And I would like your honest opinion about, first of all, you are going to feel so old.
No.
And this is not even like, this is less than 20
Not
years.
that was half my life ago.
No.
I'm not nothing old about that.
Because you're a child when this happened. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you a list of, these are some of the advertisers that dominated Super Bowl ads in 2002 that have to do with technology. I want your first reaction to this list.
Okay.
AOL. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think AOL? Yes.
That's that noise, that
Yes.
modem connection.
Mm-hmm. And you had to have at least 2 phone lines in order to have conversations with girls in the chat.
Oh, man.
Otherwise, your parents would be mad for not letting the, oh God, that's the word. Blockbuster Video.
Blockbuster. I mean, that was amazing. And it still is amazing. I just don't have to wear pants anymore to have that convenience.
Correct. Yes. 2002, you needed to wear pants.
I needed to wear pants.
Today,
but
no
back
pants.
then I had a crush because video store. I had a crush on the video store clerk, and so like, yes, let's go rent a movie. And
of course,
yeah,
Radio Shack.
Radio.
How do you explain Radio Shack to a kid today?
Oh, I don't even.
It's a place with cool technology stuff.
I kind of like I didn't even go to Radio Shack. I don't know if I've ever been to a Radio Shack.
I remember when Radio Shack had a really cool Black Friday special, and I couldn't tell you where a Radio Shack was in order to get said Black Friday special. It's legitimate. Circuit City.
Best Buy's like older, more expensive brother.
Yes.
Like crappy brother.
Yes. Like oh, we got sweet technology. We're like Best Buy is way cheaper.
We have too expensive of stuff and not customer service. Do you wanna pay for this?
In a space that is twice the size of a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Yep. Comp USA. I don't even know what Comp USA was.
Did they were they like a computer vendor?
Maybe.
Let's
go with assumption. I'm assuming Comp USA is that. Sears. I don't think Sears exists anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't think they do. Yeah. Yahoo.
Yeah. Yahoo's still pretty
Yahoo.
relevant.
Really?
I mean, I think it's 3.
When is the last time you have gone to Yahoo to search something?
I mean, all the time for fantasy football.
Okay, that's all right.
I have a Yahoo app. They own that market.
They do.
But I will see like news links and stuff. But I do remember the beginning of the internet when there weren't a lot of websites.
No.
And you just click around by category, and it was delightful. It was like digging through a card catalog, and you go, I'm going to look for Final Fantasy sites. And then there was
one.
No, there was like 20 of them. And so that was great.
I remember that there were so few internet sites that you could go through a directory where you just list through. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then my final one, and I had one of these. This was actually one of the first ones I had. Gateway Computers.
Oh yeah. Back when I'm just trying to think.
Fun fact, there was a outside of Sioux City, Iowa.
Yep.
There was a Gateway Computers like thing, and then they went out of business, randomly because they were Gateway. And that building to this day is still painted with cow, because that was their logo. It was like a cow spot.
Cow pasture.
Pasture. So it still has the cow spots on the old Gateway building, and I think that's true. I think it's classic.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, you used to have to. They were like the first online computer retailer.
And you could build your own computer. Remember that? That was like super sweet. You're like, I would like this system. I didn't even know what that was.
It was tricky to be an American company that is online.
Correct.
And then online caught up to the fact that they're just middlemen.
Correct.
And then every one of those ones that you listed went away, the Circuit Cities of the world. It's like, hey, we buy from whomever.
Literally, Yahoo is the only thing on that list that's still around, and that's amazing. And that's why what you said at the top of the podcast is so brilliant, which is this changes so
Every
often.
day.
It changes every day. And just sort of being up to date on the things you really need to do in order to move sort of the needle forward is just be up to date on tech. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on it.
No.
And you don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but you got to be good at a couple of different things. And that's what we talked about today.
And if anything, synopsis of our, I don't know, however long conversation, look into DonorDoc or a CRM, look into some kind of video conferencing, and look into some kind of calendar.
Yes.
And if you can get those 3 under control at any job, good for you.
Yep.
You'll be in a better
Congratulations.
spot.
You've done great.
Congratulations.
Eric, if they want a custom app, if they want to just meet you for coffee, or they want to just talk with you on a video chat, how do they get a hold of one Eric Roeder from Codalation?
You go into the chatbot on codalation.com, and I'm the person who gets it. And It's not actually a bot. It goes into my CRM, and it says someone tried to talk to you. Or eric.roeder@codalation.com. And I'm a fancy, so it's ERICK.RODER at Codalation.
It is a fancy name for Eric.
My dad's name is Rick, and so I'm Rick instead of Rick Jr.
That's fantastic.
I
did not know that about you.
Yeah, but if I have a son and I name him Derek, I'm setting Derek up for colossal failure.
You really are.
So I don't want to do that.
I would pass it. I also resist the urge to every time you call Eric from okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being a guest on the official Do Good Better podcast. Finally, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, no, I
very
love
grateful
all of
for
our
you.
conversations. It's weird it's been recorded this time.
I know, it's weird. It's great. We'll see you next time on the official Do Good Better podcast.
Love it. Thank you, sir.